Hello and welcome to 365 Days of Healing. Today I thought we'd talk about metaphysics and what metaphysics have to do with our being, with this physical self that we are, that we've chosen to be a part of in this 3D world. So metaphysics is beyond the physical. So anything beyond the physical explains what might be going on in the physical. So if we look at ourselves and we recognize that we are mind, body, soul, emotions, we're a part of nature. We have systems within us that work automatically. However, the feedback system that comes from our emotional self and from our minds have a big bearing on the physical manifestations in our life. So let me talk to that, what that actually points us towards. So if I'm feeling rather sad and down, everything slows down. I can't operate in the world, in this 3D world that I've found myself in, and I find everything a burden and it becomes the drudge. And it's the weight on my shoulders. I feel almost overloaded, and the bearing of my life is such that it is a burden. My heart is sad. I feel heavy-hearted. I'm just actually sick to the stomach of this world. I don't like it. I'm burdened. I can hardly move out of my own way. And they're the words that we use when we feel that life isn't joyous. And that gives us a few pointers. So our language starts to talk to us about what is affecting us, say, physically. So if I'm burdened by what's happening around me, and I feel rather depressed and down about it, my shoulders actually start to be burdened. I might develop pain in these trapezius, in these muscles here that hold my head up high. I can't even hold my head up because I'm sort of downtrodden, and I feel down, literally down, and my whole body starts to sort of curve over and bend over. You can see in a lot of older people that their back starts to give way and they feel burdened by their life and what is happening. Now, we can just say that that's physical. However, it's not just physical. It is actually coming from the way that we have been thinking and how we can become burdened by our existence in this 3D world. And so our body starts to show us and starts reflecting what our thoughts have been, what our emotions are, and what we then may be able to do to address how we can change those things. It doesn't matter what age you are, you do have the ability to change what is happening in you physically, or you can accept that this has been my life's journey and this is also a part of my future, right through to the point where I die, which is really only just transition from this form into another form. We're only energetic systems. Don't forget that. It's vitally important to recognize We are an energetic system. Now, science tells us that, and it's an interesting thing that science assists us to understand the metaphysics of what is happening around us. When things start, say, going wrong in our physical self or mentally in our programming that's happening in our mind, and we call it mental ill health, there are also pointers and ways to overcome those sort of conditions that even people have been born with. Because when you are born with something, it is just a coding within your genetics that leads you down that path. Now, you may have undertaken at a soul level to come and experience what that means, and that's fine. That's just all part of it. But when you start to understand that you can even change yourself at a genetic level, and we call that mutations, because of the way we think, because of the way we because of the way we feel, because of where we live and how we live, and many factors that actually can change us genetically as well. Now, that's really right out there if we think about it from, say, a mainstream medical position. The mainstream really only works with the way mainstream medicine I'm talking about really only works with symptoms and management of those symptoms. Or if it also has gone to the point where it can kill off some of the cells that are affecting you physically by either cutting it out or off or filling you with poisons that target those cells. That is the way it manages the symptoms that you are displaying. And any disease is only about a symptom, because or what, some test has shown that something is going wrong or it's not at its optimum level. The interesting thing is that this physical body of ours, because of our connection to source and because of our connection to the essence of everything, has an inbuilt mechanism to heal itself. Now, I'll say that again. We have an inbuilt mechanism to heal itself. And you might go, oh, that's not quite correct. Yes, it is. Why is it, if that is the case, why is it do some people not get disease? Why is it that they then survive into vast old age without medical interventions? And if we look at those people and we start to recognise that they have not just genetic coding that assists in that, and I will talk to that because that is correct, not just a genetic coding, but a genetic coding that assists them then to see that they can play a very big hand in their own healing by looking inward and seeing where that dis-ease began. Now, there are pointers to this. Our language actually talks to this because, as I said before, when I feel burdened, I'm heavy-hearted. My shoulders roll over. I don't breathe properly. I don't go outside. I just want to hide down inside. So I'm not out in the fresh air, filling my lungs literally with good, clean, natural air. I'm not out in the sunshine, which helps us to heal. We too are like the plants. We need certain amounts of sunshine for us to grow and maintain health. We know that. We know that scientifically. In fact, there was a time not very long ago when they were advocating that you don't go out in the sunshine, and you don't, because then you will get sun cancers. And so people stopped going out in the sunshine. They covered up, they put on chemical things to stop themselves from burning, and then they wondered why, say, their bones became brittle. And they ended up with a thing called osteoporosis. And the osteoporosis actually was directly related to the lack of sunshine in their life. Because if you don't get enough sunshine, you are then prone to having very low vitamin D, and vitamin D and calcium is what makes for strong bones, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's all the scientific stuff about it. So naturally, we are not meant to just stay inside. We are meant to go out into nature. We are meant to consume mostly plant life, if not only plant life. We are meant to be a part of nature, not divorced from nature. Now, you can say, but it's nature to live in a high-rise building. Yes, that possibly is what the future is going to be for many people, and what already is for many people. But they will change genetically, and they will be almost becoming a different species of person to the holistic, natural order of what human beings have been up until this point of time. Now, that's your choice. It's your choice what you do, where you live, how you live. But you are the commander. You are the central figure in your life. I am the central figure in my life. And if I can investigate ways that keep me healthy, that keep me beyond the physical, in the metaphysical state, then I am in command of where I go as my future timeline unfolds. And so it becomes a mindful practice to apply holistic ways of living, because that makes me feel at my optimum. It makes me feel good about myself. When I've had disease, and I've had different autoimmune problems, which I've been told are genetics, but triggered by stress. When I have gone into it and I begin to understand that the stress was actually the catalyst for the genetic code that I had in me to trigger, so that I had an issue with my thyroid, and I ended up with a thing called Graves' disease. When I was 25 going on 26, I developed cancer. And when I looked into this, I was very fortunate. I had a mother-in-law that had had cancer and had really looked into the holistic reasons as to why that cancer had come. Now, she'd lost a child when she was middle-aged, and she developed breast cancer. And it was the deep grief of the loss of that child that actually was the trigger for the cancer in her breast. For me, it was deep grief about one of my children that I actually gave away at birth, and I carried that deep grief within me. I didn't feel good enough anymore, and it ate away, and so I ended up with cancer. And I didn't like myself. I didn't forgive myself for things I had chosen to do. And metaphysically, I came to understand why those things triggered in my life. I have a problem with my spine. And I've had that problem most of my life. When I go into that, when I go into the deep reasons behind that, I can see that I felt for many, many, many years, and even to this day, that I don't feel fully supported. Now, that in itself, I'm looking outside of myself for support instead of looking inward to support myself. So it's a problem that I've carried from my birth, and I carry it forward through my life. It actually is a trigger. If I want to look at it in a metaphysical sense, it is a trigger to allow me to see what I'm actually doing to myself, not to bash myself up, not to denigrate myself, but to show me a way to make myself strong and to make myself stay upright as I move into older age. So there's the metaphysics. Now I'll just read you out something that here, these metaphysics are based on universal laws, right? There's certain universal laws that point us towards understanding what this is all about. And Hippocrates, who was they call the father of modern day medicine, he actually stated, if someone wishes for good health, one must first ask oneself if they are ready to do away with the reasons for the illness. Only then is it possible for them to heal. All right. So if you're attached to the reasons why you're carrying the ill health, you won't heal. So it's all to do with being mindful of the reasons. Now, the universal laws that attach to this are the law of attraction. So the more I think about, oh, I'm down, I'm grieving, I'm this, I'm that, it eats away at yourself, literally. That's how it comes. So you are attracting it by the way you think. The law of substitution, if I get rid of that, it will be replaced with something else. So if I push the emotion away and I don't address what is actually underlying the emotion, it will be substituted in another way in my body. So say as I said before, grief. If I am grieving for something and I don't actually physically shed that grief and take it out of my body, I then substitute it in my body, and that becomes disease. So the law of substitution, the law of intention. If I intend to heal, I will heal. If I intend to try and draw energy from somebody else because I'm not servicing my own needs, and I intend to draw their energy into me because I move into that victim part of myself, then I will attract something that will try and point me in the right direction. See, disease is not about attacking yourself. Disease is trying to point you in a direction of understanding. The law of cause and effect. If I do this, that will be the effect. So the cause very often is the diet that we ingest. The cause and the effect of that will be ill health. All right. And then the law of forgiveness. So if I forgive myself for the things that I perceive are not beneficial to me, or I've been allowed to feel that are wrong for me, then I attract that negative energy into me. So those universal laws drive everything towards the metaphysical. It is above the physical. It's not just random that I end up with this disease. It is manifested because of all those things put together. Your speech talks to it. I'm sick. Oh, I'm sick. You make me sick to the stomach if somebody is annoying you. What do you end up with? Stomach upsets. You're a pain in the neck. literally, you will develop pain in the neck. You're a pain in the butt. You probably have elimination problems if you think that way. There are many, many things that we talk about that actually are a precursor to the dis-ease that can occur. So huge subject, everyone. I know that you all would know Greg, and he is an acupuncturist, so he works at the energetic level to do with the meridians. Carrie with the yoga, which is also about the meridians, and the nadis, which are the energetic lines through your system. And so this is just a general talk about the metaphysics and how we can start addressing and taking responsibility for our own holistic, beautiful selves. Namaste.